Hello, Dr. Nagao. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for asking. How about you?
I'm good too. Thank you.
Good?
So,
I'm really good to hear that.
yes. So, we'll begin with the first question. As we all know that
Okay.
coronavirus has taken a toll on all the countries and it has become a global pandemic. But now the question is, what could be the origin of COVID-19? Now, scientists have been researching on the same since 2019, since the pandemic actually cropped up, and uh, there have been different theories about the same. But we want to find out the origin of the pandemic so that we can avoid any other pandemic to break in the next coming years. So, what in there have been these two theories that it could be because of transfer through animals, bat, and then through humans. But there is another theory that it is man-made and manufactured in Wuhan's lab. So, which theory do you think could be correct, and what's your take on that?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. But view from now, so it is not easy to prove. So which side is right? So the origin of the COVID-19, uh, we want to know, but we cannot know. But there are at least three factors to raise the suspicion against China. That's also true. Firstly, compare with other countries, number of the infection cases of the COVID-19 in China is too small. So we cannot explain why the China knows something special about COVID-19. The suspicion against China is rising. Secondly, despite India accepted the word Indian variant virus, UK accepted UK variant virus too. China strongly opposed to use the word China virus or Wuhan virus. China has imposed economic sanctions against Australia when Australia called for an independent investigation into the origin of COVID-19. So it is obvious that China wants to hide where is origin of the virus. So such attitude raises suspicion against China. And thirdly, while the world faced fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic, China has undertaken a large number of the aggressive military operations throughout the Indo-Pacific. East China Sea, Beijing has increased its military and paramilitary activities around the Senkaku Island of Japan. And in the Taiwan Strait, China has also increased its deployment and causing U.S. Indo-Pacific Commander, Admiral Philip Davidson that time, to warn that China could invade Taiwan within 6 years. So as Hong Kong, this is not a military activity, but as Hong Kong, China passed a national security law to crack down the democratic movement supported by most of the residents. In South China Sea, China's activity are very fluent. In April 2020, it sank a Vietnamese fishing boat. On the disputed island it built, it has established a new district, 2 research facilities, attempt to legitimize its claim. And it has fortified them by deploying the military aircraft missiles. And the Chinese survey ship, mass number of the fishing boats escorted by the Coast Guard ship also entered Vietnam's, Malaysia's, Philippines exclusive economic zone to exclude foreign ships and further military research. So moreover, the China dispatched aircraft carrier battle groups around Japan, Taiwan, South China Sea, hold exercises, and intimidate these countries. Yet another incident, China's fleet dispatched to the near Hawaii, target the U.S. military plane with the laser, and the international airspace, and the Indian Ocean. China sent 12 drones to collect information that can be used for Beijing submarine activities. And in the China border area, 5,000 Chinese troops entered the Indian side and clashed with Indian forces. And 20 brave Indian soldiers sacrificed their lives. All of this has taken place during the COVID-19 crisis. So as a result, according to the survey of the Pew Research Center, unfavorable view towards China reached historically high level in many countries. So such attitude raises suspicion against China. That's true. That is answer my question. Your question on the one.
Right. So there is this new report. I would say there was another report in March as well, and there is this another report that says that three scientists were infected in November 2019 while researching in a scientific lab in China and in Wuhan Institute of Virology. But China told the world that there is something called coronavirus only in December 2019. So, what could be the reason behind it? Like, why China was hiding the origin of coronavirus? Uh, what could be the motive behind causing such global pandemic if it has been caused by China?
Yeah, that's important point. And we want to know the reason why China hide this.
Yes.
Mm. Of course, view from the domestic reason, China want to hide any mistake China has done. That's true. But at the same time, if this is intended one, this is serious crime because view from the result, many people in the world suffered this COVID-19 spread from China. And despite China can stop this spread, China hasn't done. That's a big problem because China want to hide something or China want to do something. But from now, we cannot prove anything. So that is the reason we face the problem indeed. It is not easy to punish China without something concrete evidence.
Right.
That's a problem we are facing.
Right. A lot of research is going on the same subject that if the virus was man-made in China. So, how do you think that we can go about it considering China always comes in its defense and they try to stop the process somehow and say that it was not China made and we don't consider any possibility and we don't want any research to go ahead, be it by US or be it by WHO. So, how do you think can we go ahead with the same research without China interrupting the process?
Maybe view from the motivation, we can guess why China has done something like that. But at the same time, I need to say repeatedly, it is not easy to find the evidence. If the China exploits the COVID-19 crisis to change the power balance with the US, it was worked well, at least until now. Recently, the British think tank, the Center for the Economic and Business Research, predicts that China will overtake the US to become the largest economy by 2028 because of the COVID-19 crisis. But future is uncertain always, and the US will not concede the number one status indeed. So as a result, on March 25th of this year, the US President Joe Biden remarked in the first press conference, China has an overall goal. And I don't criticize them for the goal, but they have an overall goal to become the leading country in the world, the wealthiest country in the world, and the most powerful country in the world. That's not going to happen on my watch because the United States are going to continue to grow and expand, he said. So until now, it looks like China has succeeded. But if this is intended one, China has succeeded. But in, I'm not sure the, when we check the final result of this COVID-19 crisis, uh, there's a possibility US will come back and China's plan will fail if this is intended plan.
Yeah.
That is my answer.
Yeah. So, you have been in international affairs research for the longest of time. So, how do you think that this war of words going around in media of US and China can impact the overall bilateral relationship between the two sides?
Oh, yeah, that is very important. Simply said, I believe the US is on the road to win the competition with China. There are three reasons. Firstly, the US is far popular than China. That is the reason US has an advantage in the competition. For example, the number of formal treaty-based allies indicates the fact. US has many formal allies, including NATO, Central South American countries, Israel, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, Philippines, Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan. The total number is 52. But China has only one formal ally, which is North Korea. So indeed, the popularity is very important factor for which side win the competition in the past. For example, in the World War I, the winning side comprised 32 countries, but the losing side was comprised of just 4. And in the World War II, the winning side had 54 countries, but the losing alliance consists of only 8 countries. During the US-Soviet Cold War, this is not military war, but Cold War, the winning side had 54 countries, but the defeated comprised 26 countries. So popularity is very important, and the US has advantages. This is the first reason. And secondly, the US is still the powerful compared with China. Of course, I have already introduced one of the analysis of the British think tank, which indicates China's economic size will overtake the US in 2028. But that hasn't happened yet. So when we check the military power, the US military budget is far bigger than China. When US start to say China is a challenger in the public document, which is December 2017, when US published a national security strategy. That time, the US spent 4 times bigger military expenditure than China. And when we check the GDP, the economical size, the US GDP is, if US GDP is 10, the China's GDP is 6 that time. And when we check the budget spent for the research and development, which indicate the power of technology. In 2018, the US spent, if US expenditure for research and development is 10, China spent 8. So 80% of the budget US has spent for the research and development. So when we check all of these numbers, US has still advantages against China. That is the second reason. If US step up their effort now, still US can win. And thirdly, indeed, view from the history of the United States, there's a possibility US has a plan. United States people say they have 245 years history. The many people in the world say US is a young country. But the young country or not, maybe it is doubtful indeed. Because if the US history is only 245 years, US has spent only 169 years to change from the just a colonial British Empire to the only one superpower in the world, promoted very fast. And the last 76 years, the US has maintained this status. And during that process, all of the rivals has gone. We cannot find Germany, Japan, Soviet Union, which challenge United States in the past. So this means that when United States government say China is a more serious competitor in the public space, there is a possibility this watch has a very heavy and serious. And indeed, before the World War II, US has a plan. US has a many colored plan, and they implement it. Famous colored plan is orange plan, which indicates war plan against Japan before the World War II. But we should not forget one fact. There are many other colored plans. Black plan is a plan against Germany. Green plan is against Mexico. But most important plan is red plan. Red plan is a war plan against British and Canada. Can we imagine the US was planned the war against the British and Canada before the World War II? So, view from this situation, United States is a country to prepare any scenario, including unimaginable one. So, view from this situation, when the United States say China is more serious competitor in public space, we should believe US has a plan to implement or fight against China. And when we check the process to change from the Republican government to the Democratic government, or Democratic to the Republican government, indeed, we find many similarities between the Republican government and Democratic government. High-tech war has started when the report related with China's technological company, Huawei and ZTE, has published in the US Congress. US has already banned the government procurement process of the Chinese telecom companies that time. But that time was 2012, when the Democratic President Obama governed the US government. So, but banning the Huawei and ZTE is a famous policy as a high-tech war of Trump, President Trump. So, when we check the history of this policy, indeed, this policy has started from Obama government, Obama administration. And now, the Biden administration continued this policy too. So, Democratic government, Democrats or Republican is not the matter. Their policy is continued through the three governments. If the US has a plan, we can explain why. So, and the third reason is now is the best time to do it indeed. Because when we check the power balance between two, in 2080, which just after the US published national security strategy, which mentioned China as a challenger of the United States, clearly. That time, still, US is powerful than China. If US step up the effort that time, US can win. So timing hasn't mistaken. The view from such kind of three reasons, we can say US has a plan. Because US has a plan, there's a high possibility that US can win the competition with China. And because US can win the competition with China, when other country, including India, Japan, planned something, long-term policy towards US and China, we should think about this. That is the reason this relation will affect any country in the world in the long run. My answer is too long, but that's my opinion.
Right. So, coming to the bilateral relationships, when we talk of US and China relationship, we can't really ignore the role of India. Both countries have respective relationships with India as well. Considering that China and India are already going through a border tension since 2020, what do you think that if this relationship between US and China changes dynamics in some time, how would it impact India overall?
Okay. If the US-China competition escalates, like the Galwa Valley incident, like the Doklam crisis, there is a possibility China will increase the effort to provoke the neighbors. That's true. But at the same time, we should not forget one thing. If US will not escalate this effort, still there is a possibility China will escalate the provoking effort against India and Japan. When we check the number of the incursion against Japan, against India, in the border area or in the sea around Senkaku Islands, the number is increased. Both the number of the Chinese incursion in the India-China border and the number of the Chinese activity sea around Senkaku, both of two increase in 2012 and 2019. So it looks like 2009, looks like this. So view from this situation, why China increased the provoking military activity against India or Japan, China has the reason and China has the motivation. China leads everything. What kind of effort Japan has done, what kind of effort India has done, or what kind of effort US has done, has not reflects the number of activities. Fortunately or unfortunately, it depends on the situation, but that's true. So this means that view from this situation, we need to do everything we can do to stop China. But if we care about China as well, but still, there's a possibility China will come. Soviet Union after the Cold War, China will separate to the 15 countries, and some region will be fruitful, but another region will not become fruitful. Such kind of situation we'll face. In this case, what kind of world order will come, or who will lead the world order? If we strengthen the Quad Plus framework now, there is a possibility in the Indo-Pacific, this Quad Plus will lead world order. So US-China competition will affect what kind of world we will see. View from the current situation, talking about the world after the US-China competition are a little too early, but at the same time, the potential of the Quad is big. That's true. And at the same time, how to deal with China's provocation is very important during the US-China competition. To deter the China's provocation, there is one good example what happened in the South China Sea. In the South China Sea, when the military balance has changed, China has moved. That is one kind of pattern. In 1950s, when France withdrew from Vietnam, China occupied half of Paracel Island. In 1970s, when US withdrew from Vietnam, China occupied another half of the Paracel Island. And in 1980s, when the Soviet troops reduced in Vietnam, China expand take the sixth feature of the Spratly Island. And in 1990s, when the US troops withdrew from Philippines, China took the Mischief Reef. So when someone great power withdraw from the area and finds one kind of the military power vacuum, China try to take it. This is a pattern. So China's strategy looks like water. If there is a vacuum, they will flow. View from this situation, how to deter China's this activity, maintaining military balance and avoid to create a power vacuum is the answer. So how to maintain the military balance? China's military modernization is very rapid because they spend too much money to do it. If so, firstly, we need to reduce China's income. If China will be more rich, they can spend more for the military, and military balance has changed. And another method we can do is how to divide China's defense budget multi-direction. If Japan, India cooperate, Japan, India, Australia, of course US cooperated, China need to deal with all of the country at the same time. China's defense budget, ample defense budget, need to divide many directions. And if all of these countries has offensive capability, like the cruise missile, fighter jets, something like that. In this case, when China concentrates their military force against India, still China need to share some certain part of the military forces against Japan, US, or Australia in the east side. So how to divide their military budget? How to divide their military forces? That will work to maintain military balance with China. So in this case, offensive defense combination is very important. And our cooperation or collaboration in the Quad framework is very important. But this, US-China competition will affect this framework. More and more, the US-China competition escalates, the more the US needs allies. And the allies need the US too. So Quad framework will be a very important framework to deal with China.
Right. So, lastly, I would say that talking of Quad cooperation between India, US, and Japan to deter China, how do you think, like, what can we expect from the Quad meeting coming later this year?
That is interesting, and still, this month is May, and it will happen in autumn. And currently, situation is moving very fast. So it is not easy to expect what will happen. But at the same time, of course, government officials has already started talk. But when we face China, because of, I have already explained how to deter China's provocation by reducing their income or maintaining military balance. So these two will be the important pillars. But reducing income and but if the Quad country decouple from the trade with China, the Quad country needs alternative market or alternative supply chain. So developing high technology, they need parts, they need cooperation with many companies, and some of the company cooperate with China heavily. So how to establish a new supply chain, how to establish a new research process by using the collaboration will be main topic. So in the past, President Trump said, take business out of China. This is a simple explanation, but easy to say, but difficult to implement. So, but if we say difficult, we cannot deal with China. So you must do it. In this case, how to do it, which will be the main topic, of course. Now, at the same time, if this Quad summit in the autumn will publish the joint statement, it is not easy for them to publish the real strategy how to deal with China, especially militarily. So in this case, but secretly, they exchange opinion on each other and they collaborate each other, I believe. So on surface, they say joint exercises or how to cooperate the Quad country and Europe or something like that, I think. But they will plan more detail how to collaborate or how to deter China or what kind of equipment needed, what kind of weapon is needed, or what kind of organization needed, or how to improve the interoperability between these allies. Some country possess Russian-made weapons, some country has European-made weapons, some country has US-made weapon, but these countries need to collaborate. So such kind of details, and they will talk. And China use gray zone strategy, not war, not peace, between two. This is gray zone strategy. So in this case, China using paramilitary to expand territory. In this case, how to deal with? Of course, the Quad side needs gray zone tactics to deal with gray zone strategy of China. So what kind of the gray zone? What kind of situation what kind of situation? What US can do, or what US can support the country face China's provocation, and what kind of situation? Maybe they will plan collaboratively. Many detail of the ladder of escalation, they need to talk, I believe. But they will not publish it, I think, because this is secret. And but all of the four leaders gathered one place is very rare and not easy to do. But they will do. This means that this will be the important meeting.
So we hope that this collaboration between the Quad countries could provide some sort of a solution to deal with China and, like as you said, not war, not peace, and we could maintain a cordial relationship at least with China in terms of all the countries. So,
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. You summarized my
yeah.
statement. Yes, that's true. That's my opinion. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining in. It was a really insightful conversation with you today, and we look forward to talk to you in the coming days more about such topics. And thank you for taking out time to talk.
Yes. Thank you very much.